Good evening, everyone. We're going to make a start this evening because I really want to honour your time and your children's time to have a chance to go upstairs and talk to our teachers. I want to thank you for coming out to our high school curriculum night. This is probably one of the most important nights on our high school calendar. Tonight is really designed for one main purpose. The main purpose is for you to have an opportunity to ask questions of the high school teachers who teach certain subjects. My name's Stuart Kent, and it is my honour and pleasure to be the principal of the high school. Tonight we will spend a short period of time down here. We will be running some optional activities, but I do want to introduce you to myself. No, sorry. That's a good-looking guy. I'd like to introduce you to Mr. Jeff Holcomb. He's going to stand. Jeff is our assistant principal for programs and instruction. That's as tall as he gets, but he said I could say that. Jeff really, at the moment's main focus is looking after our IB and IGCSE programs. So he is a wealth of knowledge that can talk to you about the structure, content, examinations to do with those two programs, and also has significant MYP knowledge if you have questions about the middle years program. Mrs. Sanderson is our assistant principal for students and learning. Mrs. Sanderson has a science teaching background here at Seoul Foreign School, and is really here to talk to you about the culture of learning in the high school, what we're doing in terms of how we're supporting students through their high school years. So please make yourself known to them. They look forward to meeting you. Both Ruth and Jeff interface with your children on a regular basis. They really are deeply involved in the lives of our student community. Tonight we're going to have a quick 20 minutes down here with a welcome session, and I'm going to go through some introductions. And then from 7:20, 7:25, I'm going to offer you the chance to go upstairs where our staff are in the cafeteria, but also offer you the chance to stay here if you would like to hear a little bit of an update on the changes to the high school curriculum that are coming into place for next year. And then from 7:40, Mr. Holcomb has asked for an opportunity to work through some frequently asked questions about our IB program. So that'll be going on down here. You are free to stay for that. You are free to leave and go upstairs and start talking to the teachers who are up there. But also there are snacks and drinks upstairs available. We are set up a little differently upstairs. You have this map in your handout that you've each been given. Basically, we looked at the way we set up with our teachers, and in the coffee shop area, when you go up the stairs from Rob Hall, you will find our IGCSE teachers. Teachers who are experts in IGCSE classes. We also have some people there to talk about our religious studies program and also our physical health and education program. If you then go through to the cafeteria, the majority of the teachers out there will be talking about IB. So IB languages, maths, social studies, science, fine arts, etc. You'll also find three very, very important people out there, and they are our high school counsellors. One of the things that Seoul Foreign School prides itself on is the personalised attention that we give our students. And the counsellors are there tonight to answer your questions. If you have questions about the courses that we offer, courses of study, if you are already having questions about university entrances, university credit, they are the real experts that can help you work through some of those. Myself, Mr. Holcomb and Ms. Sanderson will also be upstairs and available to answer your questions. I'm going to now take a moment to actually walk you through all the staff that are available here tonight. And I want to make something very clear. The staff that are here tonight are often heads of department. We have 6 heads of department here in the high school who are the curriculum leaders for science, English, fine arts, mathematics, social studies, and world languages. I don't think I missed mathematics, I said that, and English. They are our leaders of those departments. They have a broad range of curricular knowledge and understanding. They've gone and talked to their departments and found people who are experts in the subjects that we're offering. And you'll have a chance to talk to them, but I want to make something very, very clear. They are not necessarily the teachers who will be teaching those subjects. They often are, and most times they are, but because of the way we build our schedule and assign our teachers, sometimes they're not the teachers that will actually be teaching them. Knowledgeable, flexible, and adaptable are the 3 things that we look for in high school teachers. So please feel free to ask them questions But I know what happens. I know your children, if they're here tonight, will be saying, I want to do this course because that teacher over there teaches it. That's not always the case in the high school. We have a large range of teachers teaching a large range of subjects. Miss Mack is our current 9th grade and 11th grade counsellor for students with surnames A to K. Mr. Krugler is currently looking after all of 10th grade students and 12th grade students' surnames A to K. And Mr. Krugler is working on the rising 9th grade class. So if you are a 8th grader or Key Stage 3, you will have had a chance to talk to Mr. Krugler at student events. He can talk to you about transitioning into the high school. Mr. Myong is currently looking after grades 9, 11 and 12, surnames L to Z. Now I know some of you are sitting there going, this is very unbalanced and unfair. Some of our counsellors have more students than others. We have a 4th counsellor joining the high school next year, and we just have had to have 6 months of imbalance before we have a chance to balance that out. Miss McMillan is a new teacher to Seoul Foreign School and has a new position looking after the IB core. And she looks after CAS, EE and TOK. So for 10th grade students going into 11th grade or parents who have questions about those 3 elements of the IB program, Miss McMillan is someone to talk to. We have a new director of sport here at Seoul Foreign School. Susan Salhanes will be moving out of the middle school next year and transitioning into a school-wide leadership role. We've been working with her and other members of the PE department on revitalising and revamping our PE curriculum and health curriculum in the high school. And she is here tonight to answer your questions in regards to PE and health education in the high school, grades 9 through to 12. Our Head of Department for English is Miss June Bird, and you can see in your own sheet, I'm not going to read everything they're talking about, but she is here to talk about those subjects. I would highlight IB, School-Supported Self-Taught Language A. Many of you have heard that we will support students who want to learn their mother tongue, studying literature in Estonian or Hebrew or Russian. Miss Bird has a wealth of knowledge that you can talk to her about that opportunity, and also Mr. Holcomb is available if Miss Bird's busy. Mr. Rader for English. Miss Yang is our Head of Department for Maths, and she will be here to talk to you tonight with her team about our math program. Mr. Klinkerman, Mr. Wilson, who is our higher level math teacher. Miss Lim. Our Head of Science is here tonight, Dr. Janie Brooks. Her specialty is higher level chemistry, both SL and HL, and is also available to talk about other subjects. Our heads of department can talk about most, or if not all, of the subjects and the levels that are offered. Miss James will focus on 9 and 10th grade coordinated science. Miss Emmerich, Miss Black, Mr. Jenny. We have quite a large science department. Mr. Yap will be talking about physics. Miss Drummond is our Head of Department for All World Languages, and she's an expert in Spanish, and will also be talking to you about the different levels of Spanish that we offer here in the high school. Mr. Olivier is our sole French teacher next year in the high school, and he is here to talk about IGCSE French. Miss Sung will talk to you about our Korean program, and we offer Korean first language and Korean as a language of learning for a second language student. Miss Dr. Kim, she talks about IGCSE and then our SFS Korean subjects. Miss Sui for Mandarin. Miss Park for Korean B. Miss Myers is our Head of Department for Social Studies, and she is a history and psychology specialist. She teaches an enormous range of social studies subjects, but we have narrowed her focus tonight to those 2 subjects. Mr. Sheehan for IGCSE History. Mr. Hutchins for grade 9, IGCSE. Mr. Campice, who is our business and management teacher. Mr. Busby, who is looking after our religion studies, grades 9 to 12. I will talk a little bit about that later on. Mr. Hall. Mr. Hall will be here to talk about one of our new subjects that we're offering to grade 9 students, which is IGCSE Global Perspectives. I know he has created a short handout for parents who would like to know a little bit more about that course. Mr. Leahy. Mr. Young is our Head of Department for our Fine Arts, and he is here representing a whole range of fine arts, from visual arts and IB music. Of course, if you have music questions that Mr. Young can't answer, he will point you in the right direction of who to contact on our high school staff. Miss Moon for theatre, and Miss Sam Stone for theatre, Mr. Ford for choir, but also looking after a significant number of our music courses. He can give you some good information about those. And that's it from our staff for this event. I want to encourage you now as you go upstairs to really be focusing on asking questions. This is the evening where you want to ask, what is the difference between higher level psychology and standard level psychology? This is the evening for you to ask a teacher, what is the difference between IGCSE World History and IGCSE US History? This is the evening for you to ask counsellors and teachers about what is a balanced, broad IB program. This evening is designed around you, for you to come, for your students to come and to ask questions of the high school staff. It's 7:20. If you want to go straight upstairs now and start asking questions of those teachers, you are free to leave. In about 3 minutes, I will come back up on the stage and I will do a very short amount of information that talks about some of the changes in our course selection booklet that you've had an opportunity to access electronically. The course selection booklet has been in the e-news electronically, so I know on your tablets and phones you can access that. We have copies of this upstairs on the counsellors' desks if you would like a hard copy. We are trying to be as environmentally conscious as possible. We haven't printed a copy for every student in the high school, but if you would like one tonight, they are upstairs on the counsellors' desks. So in 3 minutes, I will come back up on stage. You're free to go upstairs, get a snack, start asking your questions. You may come back downstairs at 8 o'clock, at 7:45, if you would like to ask, be a part of the IB frequently asked questions. So please, welcome, enjoy your evening, and I'll be back on stage in a couple of minutes. Thank you for those that have remained. I really do want to honour your time tonight and make sure you have as much time as upstairs as possible. But I do want to take a moment just to walk you through some of the large developments that we are going through in the high school in terms of our curriculum. One of the activities that I've spent a significant amount of my time on, working with the leadership team and the counsellors in the high school this year, has been examining the manner that we offer subjects, but also the content of those subjects. And I'm excited to say that over the past 7 or 8 months, after a lot of thinking, developing, trialling, testing, we have had a chance to share with the parent, student, and teacher community some of the significant changes that we're putting into place for next year. We have made changes to both content and to how we deliver our structure of our courses. So tonight I just want to summarise very quickly what those major changes are. Traditionally in the past, Seoul Foreign School was offering 2-year courses, 1-year courses and semester courses. That was unsustainable for us as we looked at the growth of our IB program, the growth of our IGCSE program and the onset of MYP, which is coming into the high school, which is the middle years program for grades 9 and 10, that's also being adopted in the middle school here at SFS. Those realities enabled us to have a look at some opportunities. And what we did in terms of structure is to take short, compact semester courses and stretch them out over a year-long course. So a number of the courses that we used to offer as semester courses, religion courses, are now being offered as year-long courses. And I would encourage you to take a moment to look at our course offering booklet, and I'm going to give you some page numbers that I would encourage you to have a look at towards the end of my little chat tonight that'll explain what the changes are in those structures. We also have developed the notion of wanting to focus our students on the core of their IB academic subjects. There's been a long-standing reality at Seoul Foreign School where students taking on the full diploma were doing large numbers of other elective courses, and over time we've looked at, is that what's best for our student? Is that causing more stress? Is it alleviating stress? Is it enabling them to focus in on those 6 academic IB subjects that they were being offered? So we have changed the manner in which students access some of those what were traditionally semester elective courses into grades 11 and 12, with the desire to focus in on those core academic subjects while still offering a significant breadth of curriculum. These two changes have really been possible by the high school making a decision, and we had options, and that is to offer our subjects for different amounts of minutes per week. Traditionally in the high school, a subject meets for 365 minutes every 6 days. We have exceptions to that. Our science in grades 9 and 10 meets for 565 minutes because they are doing a double amount of science. In the 11th and 12th grade classes, our IB standard level courses meet for 365 minutes and our higher level courses meet for 465. But enabling us, or in order for us to get all of the subjects into what we want a student to do and to create that balanced curriculum, we've made a decision to offer some subjects for one 65-minute period a week and some subjects for two 65-minute periods a week. This is not a radical change. We've been doing that in the high school now for a number of years. For the last 2 years that I know of, and maybe 3, we've been offering one period a week subjects in extended essay support and in creativity, action and service, or CAS support. So we have trialled this before. What we've done now is expand that out into other subjects like Korean culture in grades 11 and 12, religion classes in grades 11 and 12, and physical education classes in grades 11 and 12. So we've gone through quite a process to enable us to arrive at where we are, which is exciting, but it is also different. This course booklet will give you a lot of the information that you need to know about how we've changed the content and the structure of our courses. If you have a pen, I would like to just highlight a few pages that I would recommend that you read. Even if you don't have the booklet here in front of you, I'm sure that if you take a moment, you can jot these page numbers down. And I encourage you over a coffee on the weekend, as you talk to your children through the selections that they're going to make. If you have a student coming into 9th and 10th grade, I would very much encourage you to read page 3, and you will see there a graph that talks about the course of study that our students are going to be taking in grades 9 and 10. If you have a student going into grade 11 and 12, obviously page 4, the next one, is a page that will set out what their course of study is. Seoul Foreign School proudly offers 2 terminal external examination periods. By adopting an IGCSE program and an IB program, where students study the course for 2 years, we have large examinations at the end of 10th grade for IGCSE and a large series of examinations at the end of 12th grade for IB. Those exams often seem to be a long way off, but if you read pages 5 and page 6, you will, page 5, you'll get an understanding of when those exams take place and how those exams take place. Page 6 and 7 of the booklet will give you a very brief overview of the IB program, so you can understand a little bit more about what is being offered there. But as we get into the courses, what we're actually offering, I would really encourage you to look at page 20. Page 20 sets out the changes that we've made to our religious studies curriculum. Our religious studies curriculum in grades 9 and 10 has radically changed. We have a world religious expression course that our students in grade 9 are taking, and a Christian attitudes and religious worldviews course that our students will be taking in grades 10. Again, if you study then through to our year 11 and 12 courses of studies for religion, you will see that there are 2 more courses that we've developed this year that deal with those. So page 20 is an important page for you to have a look at. And I've lost my spot on the religion ones. Sorry, page 25 will give you an overview of the new Global Perspectives course that we are offering into grade 9, and we'll be going on to grade 10 after that. And I know there is a religion course for grade 11 and 12, but I'm just struggling to find where it's... Oh, it's on the bottom actually of page 20. There's a little bit there about our 2 religious studies courses, and you'll find further descriptions of them in the Wellness and Balance section. MYP Design is another new course that we're offering into grade 9 next year, which is our first foray into the MYP world. We've hired an experienced MYP design teacher to come in and teach that course, and you can find its description as well. I encourage you to spend some time in this booklet. It really is a synopsis and a snapshot of what we offer, how we offer, and who we offer those courses to. Tonight is a good chance for you to have a quick glance at this if you haven't already, and please feel free to ask our teachers about questions that stem from this booklet. I'm going to hand over to Mr. Holcomb now, and we're running a little ahead of schedule, and I'm happy to give you another 2 or 3 minutes break if you would like to head upstairs, if you've had your questions about the course offerings answered and you would like to come back for the IB frequently asked questions. We will start that in about 5 minutes. So thank you. I'm here to answer your questions. The teachers upstairs are waiting to answer your questions as well.
Well, for those of you that are here, we'll go ahead and make a start. If you're a praying person, you can tell your prayers have been answered. I'm losing my voice, so I can't go very long. So this will mercifully be short. If you were here a couple weeks ago when we talked about the IB Diploma program here at Seoul Foreign School, one of the things we mentioned was there's 3 different pathways to access the IB Diploma courses here. I just wanted to start out by putting that slide back up. To remind you that we have some students that will take the full IB Diploma. They'll meet all of the IB regulations to receive and sit the exams for and ultimately receive the full IB Diploma. We have some students that will take IB certificates. They'll take a full slate of IB courses, but not the right combination to earn an IB Diploma. They'll still sit their IB exams and receive a certificate for each course that they sat an exam in. And then we also have available a modified course of study where some students either won't sit a full number of IB subjects or will sit the full number of IB subjects, but perhaps with modified assessments at the end of those. And that's another way that we support students, because we firmly believe that the IB Diploma program is for all students in high school. It helps every single one of them and really advantages them when they go to apply to university. That's a benefit we have, that every one of our students, when they leave here, have IB courses on their transcripts, and that's when they go off to university, and universities recognize those as exceptionally rigorous courses. The only other bit of review I'll mention is that in order to take a full IB Diploma, students are required to take 1 subject from each of the 6 subject areas that are listed along the side here. You may remember, if you were here, that there are a few exceptions to that. Students can opt not to take a Group 6, which is an arts course, and instead take 2 social sciences in Group 3 or 2 sciences in Group 4. And there's a few other asterisk strange permutations that can happen. But in general, students must take 1 from each of the 6 sections. In order to complete the full IB Diploma, they also have to complete the core, the Theory of Knowledge, CAS, and Extended Essay, which is referenced here. And students need to take 3 of these courses at higher level and 3 at standard level, and overall gain at least 24 points. There are some other conditions that have to be met. You have to have at least 12 in your higher levels, etc. But that's just in broad strokes what our students are aiming at. What I've done a lot of speaking with parents and students who are rising into 11th grade is really talking about setting up an IB program that really fits you well. Getting higher levels that really hit with your strengths, that are things that you really enjoy, because you'll spend 250 hours in those subjects, or 240 hours, in those subjects, as opposed to your standard level subjects where you only spend 150. And it's important. You may take a really challenging higher level course for you personally. You need to make sure that that's going to eat up a lot of time and energy. You need to be sure that that's balanced with several other high level courses that perhaps are a little more life-giving for you. So those are some of the things that we've discussed with the students in trying to create a good schedule that fulfills all 6 of the areas and meets their individual strengths and areas that they really enjoy. Tonight what we're going to do is go a little bit deeper through some of the subject areas and just talk about some of the questions that are frequently asked in these different subject areas. So Group 1 is languages and literature. Now all students at Seoul Foreign School take English for one of their language and literature courses. There are 2 offerings within this. As you see up on the screen, you can take English literature, or you can take a course called English language and literature. Now both of those are available at the standard level and at the higher level. The difference between the 2 is really one of how much you absolutely love to study literature. So students who absolutely love literature should take the literature course. In that course at higher level, you read 12 different texts and do literary analysis on them. Big, thick text, lots of reading. If you take the IB literature course at the standard level, you do 10 texts. So it's very focused on literature, literary analysis, reading, essay writing. That's sort of your traditional English literature class. If you're a little less a fan of sort of traditional English literature, then the language and literature course might be a better option. And what that does is students read less text. If you take that at higher level, you read 6 texts that are full-length literature texts. Or if you take it at standard level, you go through 4 full-length literature texts. So you can think of this, basically 1 year of each of these courses is fairly similar. the same number of texts, the same type of literary analysis. But for language and literature students in the second year, they study much different types of language. Rather than engaging in traditional literature study, they look much more at language and its use. So they discuss using lots of different genres. They look at such things as language and gender, language and culture. They examine blogs. They examine lots of different nonfiction types of texts, graphic novels, the use of language in advertising. So it's much more analytical look at the use of language in a variety of different texts outside of your traditional literature studies of classic texts. So that's the first choice students would have, would be English literature or English language and literature. Both of those, again, are available at standard level and at higher level. One other set of Language A courses I do want to draw your attention to, because I've spoken to parents quite a bit about this, because I really think it's a fantastic opportunity, is the ability to earn a bilingual diploma. So if here at Seoul Foreign School, you take your English course, either literature or language and literature, and you take another course that's Language A, that's at the level of native literature, then you can receive what's called a bilingual diploma from the IB. That's recognized by universities as a significant accomplishment. It is something that really students brag a lot about, and rightfully so. It basically says, I've engaged in the study of literature and literary analysis in 2 different languages, and that's very impressive. We have 2 main ways of doing that here at Seoul Foreign School. The first of those is by taking Korean Language A. So we have students that begin in 9th and 10th grade and stay on a track where their language ability is at the level where they take Korean language and literature. It's basically the exact same course as English language and literature. It's just in Korean and all based on Korean texts that were initially authored in Korean. So that's one thing a student can do. A nice part of doing that is that you're facing the same sort of assessment in both those classes. So you're very used to the format of the assessment because it's exactly the same. You're just carrying that out in 2 different languages. And the second way to achieve this is through the school-supported self-taught languages. As Mr. Kent referenced, if in the home there's a language that you speak, and right now we have students doing this in Arabic, students doing it in Danish, we've had students do it in Spanish and German in the past, and many other languages, you can actually take a school-supported class. It does require an outside tutor, and that's something we work with you. You will have to find and arrange and compensate that person, but it does allow you to study a native language, again, at literature level, and also achieve the bilingual diploma. So those are things I really like to highlight, and those are sort of the main things to think of in Group A. So if one of your questions is higher level or standard level for Group 1 with English, the big difference between the English courses, English literature and language and literature, higher level, standard level, is the number of texts that you'll be reading. So if that helps your student or helps you to make choices about which English course you should be taking, that's the big difference between the 2 that you should be thinking about. For our Group 2, as we mentioned, you actually can skip taking a language acquisition course if you're taking 2 Language A courses. So it comes in place of that. And that can earn you the bilingual diploma. Other courses that we offer can help you to earn the IB diploma, the regular IB diploma. And we offer 3 different languages at Language B level. This is for students that have been studying the language for between 3 and 5 years, and now are taking Language B as second language in Spanish, French, or Korean. And those are all courses that we offer. Again, we offer these courses both at the standard level and at the higher level. And speaking with the world languages teachers, what they said, they described the difference between higher level and standard level as this. In the Language B higher level courses, they actually engage in literary analysis. There is a studying of about 2 texts and some analysis done on that. Whereas in the standard level course, they don't get to that level of language use. There's also a lot of focus on conversation and growth in both, but there's more of a chance to do that in some of the higher level courses in language. We also offer, if a student has not taken a language before or doesn't have enough language experience in any one language, to start a language from scratch, and that's called language ab initio. And we offer 2 languages from the beginning, ab initio, and that is Spanish and Mandarin. If you take an ab initio course, it's only offered at the standard level. So that becomes one of your 3 standard level choices. Moving on to Group 3, we offer 4 different subjects in Group 3, business management at the standard level, economics at the higher level. We offer history at both standard level and higher level, and psychology at standard level and higher level. One of the key distinctions between standard and higher level, and these, well, no, I'm going to come back before that. One of the key distinctions between the 4 courses, if you were to think about what you'd like to take or what you'd like your students to take, I draw your attention that psychology and history both involve a significant amount of reading, but more importantly, a significant amount of writing in all of their exams. So psychology and history, a lot of writing, all essay exams, very, very significant length, especially if you do a higher level course. If you choose to go either economics or business management, there is a tendency that those that have a bit of a math ability do a little bit better at economics and at business. Both of those involve a bit more quantitative analysis, and the math thinking helps you to grasp the theory. Now don't let that put you off. You don't have to be good at math to do economics. But if math comes naturally to you and you think that way, the economic theory and the business theory will click a little easier. So just something to keep in mind. If you're very good at math and you consider one of those at higher level, it might be one of those higher level courses that you find a little less challenging. If you really struggle with math and you want to take economics at the higher level, just know that one of the 3 papers is all math, and it's going to be something that's going to be just cause you to work a little harder to do. So I hope that distinction would help you with your group 3 choices. All of our students that have taken IGCSE coordinated sciences in grades 9 and 10 have been exposed to physics, biology, and chemistry, and they're prepared for any of these 5 IB diploma offerings that we have in grade 11. So your students have access to any of these. You'll note that we offer biology and chemistry at both the standard level and higher level, and physics just at the higher level. Now, one of the things we do offer for students is a chance to try something new. They've already been exposed to biology, physics, and chemistry, but some things they haven't been exposed to are some different windows of the ways that we use science here in the world. So we offer 2 courses, Environmental Systems and Societies, which actually can count as a group 3 subject. So a student could take that. That would count as their group 3, their social studies, and as their group 4, their sciences. And this one it gives you a different lens to look and use science through, and that's engaging with the ways that the environment and our society interact. Similarly, the last course there, Sports, Exercise, and Health Science, is a bit of a combination of biology, chemistry, and a unique way of looking at how the human body functions, sports, and exercise, and health, and using science to examine those things. So I encourage students, if maybe science is not their favorite thing, or they become a bit burned out on the 3 traditional science subjects, at ESS or SEHS, the Environmental Systems and Societies, or Sports, Exercise, Health Science, might be good courses to consider to give you a fresh perspective on science and a new way of looking at things. A lot of students do find that very engaging. Both the Environmental Systems and the Sports, Exercise, Health Science are only offered at standard level. From talking with most of the science teachers, the big difference between standard level and higher level in the sciences tends to be quantity of information. There's not a significant increase in the complexity of theory, but it just tends to be more topics that are not taught in the standard level courses. So you go at a bit of a quicker pace, and then you cover more content. Again, if you have further questions about that specific to physics or biology or chemistry, there's some teachers upstairs that can help to answer those questions for you. Math, I spoke with the math head of the department, and she said there's not a lot to talk about with math. Most students have been tracking towards one of these 3 courses already. If you want to be in higher level maths, we strongly recommend that you get in the math higher level track in 9th and 10th grade, and standard level similarly in math studies. Now you will note that math studies and math standard level are both standard level courses. So they both, if you think of your 3 standard levels and 3 higher levels, you kind of think of what your choices are. So if you're a student that's not really strong at math, then you know that's going to be one of your standard levels. If you're going to take a language ab initio from the beginning, that has to be standard level, so there's 2 of your 3 standard levels. So then you start to box yourself in as far as what you're going to take at a higher level. So these are the combination of questions that each student has to consider based on your strengths and the things that you're interested in. Students often ask about math higher level. It's one of those courses that has a mystique around it, along with physics higher level, as being some of the more challenging courses that the IB offers. Some of that lore is true. The IB does not hand out 7s equally in every subject. Some are more difficult to get than others. And higher level math, higher level physics are some of the more challenging courses that you can take. Now, some students take them and absolutely love them. It's a thrill and a challenge and something that gives them energy. They do require, though, as I've spoken to students over the years, lots of time. Even students that are very good at math, in math higher level, spend a lot of time just gaining fluency and working problems. So one of the things I tell students is be sure that if you're going to take math higher level, you recognize the time that will eat up, and you make sure that you budget your other higher levels that are not going to take up even that much more time, but maybe some of those that are that come a little more naturally easy to you to offset the math higher level, which will take quite a bit of time. The last thing that we'll look at is group 6, which is the arts. And the one thing I want to say, and I'm glad I have you here to say it too, is don't skip an arts. I really think everyone should take one, and I get sad because many people start already by just throwing out group 6 and thinking about what other subject they're going to double up on. But I don't just say that because it's sort of my opinion. I wanted to show you a few reasons why I actually say I think it's important for every student to take an arts course. This right here was put out by the Asia Society, and it's one of the looks at what are the 21st century skills that people in the workforce are going to need. And if you look here, you will see that there are the 21st century competencies. They talk about cognitive, academic, critical thinking, and creativity competencies. And they also look at interpersonal competencies and intrapersonal competencies. Similarly, there's a group called P21 that was out of based in the United States, and they looked at what are the skills needed in the 21st century work environment. They came up with some things that were very similar. What I note is the yellow bridge on top there, which talks about learning and innovation skills. They talk about critical thinking, communication, collaboration, and creativity. And lastly, this was put out by the Ministry of Education in Singapore and was part of an OECD conference where they were looking at education and creativity. And again, they're looking at the future, what do 21st century workers need, and a lot of things that they're talking about. If you notice at the yellow, the core values, they talk about respect and responsibility and integrity. And then around it, in the red area, you can see the social and emotional competencies, self-awareness, self-management, responsible decision-making, relationship management, and social awareness. The reason I think it's so critical for our students to take the arts is that the world needs people who do have the cognitive skills. It is really important that you know your math, you know your science, and your engineering. But, give me 1 second, have a drink here. I firmly believe that that's actually not enough in our 21st century workplace. Anything that can be automated will, and the difference that sets our students apart is that they have all the knowledge and they have the creativity. And one of the things that our arts programs really do is harness that creativity and collaboration. So I want to encourage you, don't think of Group 6 as a throwaway, but think of it as perhaps one of the most important courses your students could take. I'll be available right here at the front if you have more questions, and the teachers are upstairs. Thank you so much for your time.